Good afternoon. This is the August 14th, 2025 Zoning Board of Adjustment regular meeting. My name is Matt Perry and I'm chair of this board. I will now call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll so that we may verify the presence of.
Board Member Callahan.
Present.
Eicholtz is absent. Grenz Korsch.
Here.
Hutchins.
Here.
Ingram.
Aye.
Perry.
Here.
Smikarova is absent. And Wang is absent. We have 5 members present.
Let the record show we do have quorum, and with that, we'll proceed to our agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's legislative information management system, available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. Is there a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against indicate by saying nay. That motion passes and the agenda is approved. I believe all the board members have seen a copy of the minutes from the July 31st, 2025 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against indicate by saying nay. Any abstentions?
Ingram abstains.
Okay, we have one abstention, but that motion passes and the minutes from the Zoning Board of Adjustment July 31st, 2025 meeting are approved. Some general instructions, a reminder to applicants and others, if you're going to speak at the public hearing or during the public hearing, please sign in on the sheet available from the clerk and speak clearly into the microphone. If you haven't signed in yet, you can do so on your way out. The clerk is over that way. And also to applicants and others, please contact staff with the after the hearing with any questions you have regarding your projects. And let's review the agenda. Also, board member Eicholtz has joined us. I will read the agenda number and the address of the project and state whether it's slated for consent, continuance, withdrawal, return, or discussion. I'll just talk about what discussion items are. Those are items for which the board will take public testimony, deliberate on, and make a decision. After the public testimony has been heard for each particular discussion item, I will close the public hearing for that agenda item. Once I close the public hearing for an item, no additional public testimony will be taken, but staff may be asked to address board questions. After the public hearing for an item is closed, board members will then discuss and act on motions, and the chair only votes in the case of a tie. Here's the recommended dispositions of our 2 land use items on the agenda. Agenda item number 4 is 4148 Upton Avenue South. Staff is recommending this item for consent. Is there anyone here to speak against this item? You want to speak against it?
In a sense, I want to find out something. I live next door.
Okay, we can pull it. That's fine. Agenda item number 5 is 2414 Cuomo Avenue Northeast. Staff is recommending this item for consent. Is there anyone here who would like to speak against it? Yep. All right.
2414 Como Avenue South.
Yes. Thank you for the That's me typing too fast. Thanks for the correction. And with that, we don't have any items on our agenda for consent, so let us jump right into agenda item number 4, 4148 Upton Avenue South. And the way this works is the staff gives a presentation, then we open the public hearing. You can ask your questions or give testimony. Then we close the public hearing. Then the board has a discussion and votes on it. So with that, we will get started.
Good afternoon, Chair Perry, board members. Item number 4 is a variance request to allow the construction of a single-family dwelling with an attached garage at 4148 Upton Avenue South. The property is located in the UN1 Urban Neighborhood Zoning District with an Interior 1 Built Form overlay. The subject property has a lot area of 7,669 square feet and is located in the Linden Hills neighborhood in Ward 13. The proposed project does have sufficient design points in accordance with applicable zoning standards. However, the submitted plans currently exceed the allowable floor area ratio, and staff is working with the applicant to revise the design and bring the project into compliance with this standard. This issue does not affect the findings related to the front yard setback variance before you today. The single variance requested is to allow portions of the proposed structure, the front stoop, a corner of the attached garage, and a portion of the new dwelling to encroach into the established front yard setback along Upton Avenue South. The applicant is seeking to reduce the front yard setback to 37.9 feet. The setbacks of the adjacent properties are 48.4 to the north and 34.9 to the south. Challenges exist on the site related to the request to reduce the established front yard setback due to the significant depth discrepancy at the rear of the lot, which has a 12-foot difference in depth between the north and the south sides of the lot. The partial measures 128 feet along the north and 116 along the south, while the average depth for properties in this area is roughly 152 feet. In addition, the planned preservation of the existing mature trees on the site further restricts potential development. The applicant did not create this platting, thus this finding is met. While the single-family dwelling directly north of the subject property is an outlier with the front yard setback of 48.4 feet, the applicant is proposing a setback of 37.9, which is more consistent with the prevailing patterns along the block. The proposed structure would continue to function as a single-family home, and its placement aligns with the general character of development on the block. Staff finds that the proposal is consistent with the spirit and intent of the ordinance, and this finding is met. The proposed variance would not alter the essential character of the surrounding area, which is primarily defined by low and moderate density residential development. The requested variance would not result in injury or detriment to persons or neighboring properties. If granted, the variance would allow for the construction of a new structure that maintains the same height and general orientation as the existing dwelling on the site. The applicant also proposes to continue using an existing curb cut on the Upton Avenue South, on Upton Avenue South with an expanded driveway to provide access to the new garage that is attached to the dwelling. Staff finds that the proposed development is compatible with the established character of the neighborhood, thus this finding is also met. We ask that you adopt staff findings and approve the variance. I will stand for questions.
Thanks for the presentation. Are there any questions of staff? Yes.
I apologize. You said something very quickly about the square footage, and I just didn't hear it correctly. Could you go back to it, that you're reviewing that?
The floor area ratio?
Great, thank you.
Yes, currently the proposed design is over on floor area ratio by a small bit. But again, we are working with the applicant.
All right, so that will be resolved before a building permit gets issued then?
A building permit will not be issued if they are over far.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes.
Any other questions of staff? Yes. Mr. Hutchins.
Thanks, Chair Perry. Thanks for your presentation. So reducing the setback to 37.9, what would it be if there was no variance? What is the restriction today? Or do you have a view of it so we can see?
I did not bring a pencil. Um,
Is it in the staff report? I was kind of re-glancing through it, I didn't see.
So I don't know if you can see that. I don't recall if I put an example of where it would be, but again, the house to the north is at 48.4, which is this house back here. And then the house to the south is at 34.9. So
So we don't know how much we're variancing it? If it's 2 feet, if it's 15 feet, we don't know.
I don't know the exact number, no.
Chair Perry, board members, if I may just interject
Yes,
briefly.
please.
So it's not necessarily a one number. It literally is that angled line that you drew there. So the setback, that number would change over the course of that line.
But the number does exist, what it currently would be allowed to be, what the difference is of what we're changing it to.
That number would be different on the north side of the lot than the south side of the lot, but there are.
Do we know that number?
No.
Okay.
So just, sorry, can I ask follow up on that? So I think the question's being asked is what is allowed by right as the front yard setback?
Yeah.
On the plans, it looks like it's 39.9 is what the current house's, the front yard setback is. So I don't know what is the allowed by right setback, front yard setback in this area?
Okay, so if you look at the zoning code for a front yard setback in this area, it would be 20 feet for the front yard setback. However, when we review plans, there's an established setback that is based on the adjacent properties. So the 20 feet would not apply here.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions, Mr. Hutchins?
No.
Okay, are there any other questions of staff? I see none.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's open the public hearing. The way this works is we have the applicant speak first, and then other people who would like to speak for it, and then people who would like to speak against it. And I know you are sort of in between, so we'll have the applicant, if they're present, speak first, and then you can speak. Is the applicant present? Yes. You're not obligated to speak, but you may if you so choose.
Wasn't prepared to say anything today, but
Could I get your name and address for the record as well?
Barrick Steenledge of Anchor Builders.
Okay,
And we've done about a dozen homes in the neighborhood, and we really try hard to, I guess, minimize the impact while also, listening to what our homeowner and customers want. I think that, I guess the short thought is that we have the same manageable build area as the house to the south. And so, in some ways, we feel it's our sort of a fairness to say, hey, we could at least build to match the house to the south because we have the same depth, when everything to the north has a bigger depth. And so, the short thought is we're still trying to keep the character, still trying to match what we can, but trying to operate with a narrower depth setback and trying to preserve a tree in the back. So we're really trying to find a way to make this work. I don't have the exact answer, but I'd say that's probably 2 or 3 feet difference from what, because if you look at the neighbor to the south, neighbor to the right, draw a line there, and then, whatever that average is, and I'm guessing it's probably a foot or two moving ahead of that, and that's largely to accommodate for the site, but also there's a big oak tree in the backyard, and we want to do everything we can to preserve the oak tree, not only for the neighborhood, but also for the client itself. And so even though technically you can build right up to a tree, we know that the impact and the disruption and the roots movement is going to impact it. So we changed the house design from a full foundation in the back corner where it's close to the tree to more of a helical pier. So we're really doing a lot to minimize the impact for that tree, and, you can't guarantee, but we're doing a lot to protect it. Brought two arborists in to observe what they feel comfortable with, and we're really working hard to kind of design this around the limitations of that, and also trying to preserve that tree as much as possible.
Great,
So,
thanks.
thanks.
Okay, if you could give your name and address for the record?
My name is Beatrice Fleming, but it's spelled like flaming. And I live at 4142 Upton Avenue South, Minneapolis, and I've been there for 44 years, and my great-aunt and uncle there before me, so since the 30s. One of my frustrations is that Anchor has not had the meetings ahead of time to tell us, this is the plan, that's why there's no comments. Nobody knew what was going to happen. I think this is the most beautiful house I've seen them do in the neighborhood, so I like its appearance. But I do think the setback thing where they're trying to base it on the Hirosas' house next to the south, they wanted to come here too and say, our house shouldn't be considered. They didn't even know it was, but they wondered if it was. That house is a newer home, it's like a 50s house, and it faces 42nd. There's no door or anything to Upton. So it's, and Chris Hirosa said, our house lines up with the houses on 42nd Street, not at all with Upton. So I think counting it in it is kind of a crazy thing for the setback. It used to be part of the same lot. The house that was torn down at 4148 was the parsonage for the church on the corner that got torn down. And originally, from people that have lived there longer than me, the driveway had come in through the property, on 42nd. And then eventually that property got sold off and the driveway was put in. They actually asked my uncle if he wanted a common driveway, and he said, no thanks. And I'm glad he didn't. That would have been a whole nother issue. So that's why it's platted towards Upton, because that's how the whole property was originally. What I'm really wondering is this 48.4, because I haven't measured it, from the setback on our house, is that from our screen porch in the front, or is that from the actual house? Because if that setback is to the actual house and not counting the screen porch, then it isn't as scary for me. One of the big reasons I'm scared of the house being out further is because I had turned our whole front yard into a garden, and it's already losing shade because of a pine tree that we planted when it was this big, which now towers over everything. And the house at 4148, in the fall, when things are finally blooming, in September and all, the shade would come out, and I'm just nervous if something's farther forward, and I'm wondering where the shade line goes. And I know I'm probably just going to have to accept this, but it's frustrating. And the other thing I was thinking, I was standing in our family room and looking out.
So your time to speak is up.
All right.
But I do want to, do you have something that could clarify this?
Yeah, so the 48 feet is to your front porch.
Okay, so yeah, so that is scarier.
That's scary.
If the house comes forward, whoops, here, see, it's going to shade the garden even more. I was thinking if it was kind of
I'll just
to there.
say, ma'am, you're not entitled to sun. I'm afraid.
Yeah,
I
know. We now have a tunnel on the north side because,
I appreciate your frustration, but hopefully you got your answer, even if it isn't the answer that you wanted.
yeah.
Thanks. Is there anyone else who wants to speak against or for the application? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Before anything is said, I would just say to the comment about the meetings not being held and the communication being not good, I would ask the builder to please address that, because that goes a long way, as I'm sure you know, having built other houses in the area. And I think this is a great opportunity to clear up. Trying to have that conversation in a meeting like this is impossible. It is impossible, even if it's well-intended. So that's what I would ask, and hopefully you will reach out again as well. So, board comment or motion?
I'll approve the staff report based on the existing slope, existing curb cut, the dimensions of the lot, and also the tree. I appreciated all the things taken into consideration. And as
Second.
long as the FAR can be taken care of.
Yep. Okay, and that was seconded, so there is a motion before us that is properly moved. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Board Member Callahan.
Aye.
Eicholz.
Aye.
Grants-Korsch.
Aye.
Hutchins.
Aye.
Ingram.
Aye.
Smekarova is absent. Wang is absent. So we have 5 ayes and 0 nays.
So that passes. Your request is approved. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I really think some communication would go a long way in clearing things up here. It's not going to be perfect, but it will be better than it is right now. I can promise you that. All right. And I also wanted to thank you for coming downtown. I appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to 2414 Como Avenue Southeast.
Good afternoon again, Chair Perry, board members. Item number 5 is a variance request to reduce the interior side yard setback to allow an accessory dwelling unit atop an existing garage. The property is located in the CM1 Commercial Mixed-Use Neighborhood Zoning District with a corridor for build form overlay, and is also located on the Como Avenue Southeast Goods and Services Corridor. The subject property has a lot area of 4,525 square feet and is located in the Southeast Como neighborhood in Ward 2. The applicant proposes to convert the second story of an existing 672 square foot garage into an accessory dwelling unit, or an ADU. A 3-foot interior side yard setback is required for the detached accessory dwelling unit, and the applicant is seeking a variance to reduce that required yard to 2.8 feet. The existing structure is 15 feet tall at its midpoint and matches the exterior building materials of the principal structure, and all other aspects of this proposal comply with the zoning code requirements. The existing garage was built in 1956 in compliance with detached accessory structure standards at that time, which allowed the structure to be as close as 1 foot to the interior side property line. At the time, accessory dwelling units were not permitted. ADUs were allowed with the 2014 code amendment and have more restrictive minimum side yards of 3 feet. Reuse and modification of an existing structure constitutes a challenge unique to the property and complying with this ordinance. Otherwise, the structure would have to be completely removed. While a previous owner constructed the garage in 1956, they could not have foreseen the code changes that would require the additional setbacks for this structure to be converted to an accessory dwelling unit in the future. We feel this finding is met. The principal use of the property would remain as a single-family dwelling. Establishing an accessory dwelling unit in a detached accessory structure is a permitted accessory use. and converting the accessory structure is a reasonable use of the structure. Although the existing is 2.8 feet from the property line, it does not increase the potential for disturbance, nor does it impact access to the light and air, but adds additional residential density. Thus, it will be keeping with the spirit and intent of the ordinance and the comprehensive plan. This finding is met. The establishment of an ADU within an existing detached accessory structure built in 1956 with no exterior changes to the existing structure would not alter the essential character of the locality, be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the vicinity, or have an adverse impact on the general health, safety, or welfare of the general public. This finding is met. With that, we ask that you adopt staff findings and approve the variance. I stand for questions.
Thanks for the presentation. One thing in the comments, that the written testimony we got, was that it did not, the ADU did not fit in with the character of the neighborhood. Can you speak to that?
Yes. The existing structure is a two-story structure, so there won't be any external changes at all.
Okay. And that's why it fits in?
It does fit.
There isn't any change to be seen externally?
Exactly.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Well, just a clarification, you're adding in a deck, but you don't consider that a change to the, I mean, I think the deck is actually a good piece to do, but there is a deck that's being added to the existing ADU, correct?
Chair Perry, Member Grants Court, the deck is existing.
The deck on the ADU is existing?
The deck is currently on the side of the garage. The photos that are in your packet are existing photos.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. I did not realize that.
Yes, Mr. Hutchins.
Thanks, Chair Perry. Thanks for your presentation. What, just out of curiosity, what's in that first level now, or the upper level, we'll call it? What's there now? Just empty space?
Yeah, just empty space.
Okay. Cool.
Any other questions? Staff? I see none. Thank you again for your presentation. We may have you back up. Let's open the public hearing. Is the applicant present? Just as I did with the other applicant, if you want to speak, you can, or you can decline. It's up to you. Okay, so if you could give your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rashad. The address is 2414 Como. I don't really have anything to add other than what Fatima said. Really just want to introduce myself and basically, I guess, just echo as far as what the comprehensive plan is and what the spirit of the intent is as far as, more occupancy, and just echo that. And, just introduce myself. And, that's basically it.
Okay, any questions of Rashad? I see none. Thanks for coming down.
All right, thank you.
Anyone want to speak against this item? Yes, and you know the routine, name and address.
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Miranda Olson. I am the neighbor to 2414. I live at 2410 Como Avenue Southeast. And I just wanted to state why I oppose it, and I don't want any kind of retaliation for this. But in my opinion, I don't think it should be allowed. If you would go over to this area, you would see how saturated our block already is. I'm a single mom with 2 baby girls, and we share a back step with this property and a back gate. And if they add in, previously the owner, it was a one single female, and we all worked as like a unit. We'd shovel together. But I'm just worried with the amount of renters that are likely to inhabit this house that we are going to be so saturated, and there's going to be so much foot traffic through that back gate. And there's no separating our properties, and so that would be 7 more individuals or 6, depending on how many they plan to change it. I'm really excited to see the renovations they do to this house, because I'm glad they're not knocking it down and they're bringing some life back to it. But as far as the foot traffic that would be happening, that's one of my concerns. Another concern is parking. If you go over on Weeks Avenue, and I actually was staring at this photo, I live on this street, I don't know what I was looking at, it was all turned upside down. But like last night, I took photos, and sorry, it's dark. Can you, I don't know if you guys can see that.
It's
Oh,
pretty dark.
yeah, so, like, cars are all up this way, and this is a handicap spot right here, and this is a driveway, and the college students aren't even moved in yet. There are 2 duplexes that have 4 to 6 rooms rented out, and I'm just worried about snow removal in the winter. If we add 5 to 7 other occupants to this house. The other thing is that property is right up a side, so when they said 2.5 feet or 2.8 feet, it's not. If you look at a Google Maps, like there, it is right next to each other. And so I'm just concerned about foot traffic coming through. I'm worried about parking, and I don't know how more than 5 people could possibly live on that property with the square footage of what they have going on. It's going to feel like people are on top of each other. They already have that deck and porch space, but you couldn't fit 5 adults on that deck and porch space in chairs around a table, let alone, I don't know where they would go. So I'm really excited about the renovations and keeping a house in Minneapolis that is Minneapolis, but I think that if you add this variance and you make it a living dwelling out there, they're gonna max capacity, rent it out, and have 7 renters in there, and it's gonna be 7 college students, and that's good for business, and yeah, that's good for them, but as a single mom who's lived there for 5 years, and I fully plan on living there at least another 3 years, and for the foreseeable future, I own that house, I just get concerned with how much traffic, and it's a lot. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I don't wanna have to deal with moving bodies, and that many moving bodies is a concern, especially when you factor in how much space we have and snow removal. So for that reason, I'm excited to see what they do to the house, but I just think that it's grabbing for a little bit too much to try to turn that, because what will happen is it'll end up being a 7-unit rental, and it's just going to be bodies on bodies over there. And then in addition, I am worried about my parking spot, somehow me getting screwed out over this, because currently, if you look at the property line, it goes parallel to the garage. And then back here, this might be a little bit better, but right here you can see these are the steps going down, and there's the concrete right here. They put the dumpster on my side of the parking pad, and so for the past 2 weeks, my daughters and I have had to unload and load on a city street instead of having the parking spot that's my property, and no one even asked me. And so I heard you say communication before, and that is important. I would have appreciated a heads up before I lost a parking spot for 2 weeks, especially because I have to get 2 little girls in and out of booster chairs on a busy road, and there's college kids everywhere, and they're not even back yet. Move-in day is in like a week and a half too. College students don't come back till Labor Day. I think when they see the amount of traffic we have just with the college students alone, it's going to be it's going to be a headache, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. So I think that let them continue doing the work they're doing on the house. I think they're going to turn it into a 5-bedroom if what I've seen was right, and I already think that's too much. It was a 1-bedroom, 1.5 baths before, and I just think that adding, if you turn that garage into a mother-in-law suite, they're going to max it out for a 1 or 2-bedroom, and it's just going to add more people, and I don't think we have the space for it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Let's see if there are any questions.
Oh, yeah, sorry, are any questions?
Yeah, are there any questions? Ms. Olson? I see none. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Let's close the public hearing. Board comment? Anyone? Yes, Mr. Eichholz.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, I was super interested to dig into this and look at this. I don't anymore, but I lived on the 2500 block of Como for a number of years, just a few years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I think the comprehensive plan does call for density. So, I think this is kind of in keeping with that. It is, we lived in a pretty tight quarters there, but we sought that out because that was how we afforded to live in the area and not get pushed out further. We wanted to live in the city. So I'm just kind of speaking on from my perspective on that stuff. I would think that this is, especially since they're keeping it all within the existing footprint there and being able to reuse that building. And I think this is kind of the infill density that the comprehensive plan is really looking for. So at this point, I'm supportive of it, but interested to hear what others say as well.
Okay, thanks for those comments. And just for members of the public, we are not a policy-making body, so the 2040 plan was created by the council, who are the policy-making people. We are quasi-judicial when it comes to how the 2040 plan is applied. Anyone else? Yes.
Well, just like we are also not an enforcement, but I certainly hope that the owner heard that they're parking illegally their garbage container on someone else's property, and that communications would be much better too on that avenue. But again, I actually too, even though I appreciate the concerns raised against density, have to abide by what the city council has done. And this is what they've asked for. So this is what has to be done.
Thanks for those comments. Anyone else?
I'd like to make a motion to approve staff findings.
There's a motion. Is there a second? It is seconded. Is there any, we have a proper motion before us. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Board Member Callahan.
Aye.
Eicholtz.
Aye.
Grans-Korsch.
Aye.
Hutchins.
Aye.
Ingram. Aye. We have 5 ayes and 0 nays.
So that motion passes. Your request is approved. Ms. Olson, you can talk to staff about what you want to do going forward. You do have options. And Rashad, I would say it would be a real good idea to get that dumpster out of her parking spot, like ASAP. All right. Thank you very much. Let's see, any updates from staff? I think there was one from last time that didn't make it.
Chair Perry, members of the board, if there was, I was not made aware of that before this meeting, so I have no updates. If you recall an address, I can try to see if I can quickly figure it out, but.
There were two units, I think, that just were approved on, by city council, 2 properties that were approved, notwithstanding a decision by this body. But we can come back to that.
Yeah, Chair Perry, members of the board, I apologize for not digging into to see if I could find anything about those. We can definitely cover those at the next meeting.
Yep, great. So our next meeting is September 4th, and I would wish everybody a happy State Fair. And if there is a motion to adjourn, I would entertain it.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.